All right, so Marvin, if the Trojans do these three things on Saturday, I guarantee with 99.99999% confidence a victory over the Wolverines. So I'm gonna go over three things in the first segment. You can agree, you can disagree, you can add your own. That's coming up right after we do this.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you. Thanks for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network your first listen every day. Whether you are watching the show on YouTube, wherever you want to download this podcast, you can pick the platform. It doesn't matter. The show is always free. The show always appreciates your support. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers, if you can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Marvin, MVP3, he's back. Marvin Powell III. Again, thank you so much. You and I, we're gonna do a little bit of a deep dive into how USC is going to beat Michigan on Saturday.
Okay.
In the third segment, you and I will give our own picks. Pick a score, talk about some other. Will USC, pass for more yards, run for more yards, that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I have three things that I want to talk about. That if USC does these three things on Saturday, it should guarantee a victory. So let me kind of just set up the first one. If USC is taking on Michigan, this is coming on the heels of USC's defense getting pushed around a couple weeks ago against Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
This is low-hanging fruit. Obviously, this is the first thing that USC has to do. They have to make Michigan beat USC with the pass. Justice Haynes, their running back, he's going to be their focal point on offense. We know that. Everybody knows that. So far, he's gone for at least 100 yards in every game, including, scoring a touchdown. Now, I stipulate this. USC needs to keep Michigan under 150 yards or less on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And one way that you can do that is to keep Michigan in second and long.
Right.
So obviously stop the run on first down. If the Wolverines can't find a lot of success on first down running the ball, now all of a sudden they have to start throwing the ball more. That's
right.
Now they're comfortable with. So here's an interesting stat for you, MVP. Despite Michigan being able to run the ball very successfully this year, one area that they are really kind of middle of the road is third down conversion. They're 60th in the country. They convert 41% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
USC, conversely, they convert 56% of the time. That's eighth best in the country.
Right.
So how does USC stop Michigan from being successful on first down so you can get them into their uncomfortable zone where they're barely converting on third down, just 41% of the time?
Yeah. We definitely have to go in there, thinking run blitz and thinking about just stopping the run on first and second down. This young quarterback, Underwood, this guy throughout the season, he showed flashes. He's had moments. He struggled a bit on the road, and this will be a very real road environment for him. So for us, if we can limit that running back under 150. He's averaging 130, by himself. So you look at and they have two running backs that they play with. But if we can limit that run and force them into passing situations, they've dropped over 10 balls already this season.
Right.
They're not great at receiver. The quarterback has a rocket. He can throw that ball, but he's lacking a little bit touch. I think he's lacking, some of the finer points that a more seasoned quarterback is going to have as he grows and he develops. But if we could put him in a passing situation, that's good for us, in spite of our own issues, because that's where they struggle, And when you look at some of the things that should have happened this past week, I'm not as worried about us putting him in a passing situation in spite of what we've struggled with in the past.
So explain why possibly. So Michigan runs the ball extremely well. That's their bread and butter. Why would they be so, I don't want to use the word poor, but I guess, not as successful on third down. Converting just 41% of the time. And here's another interesting stat. USC is successful in the red zone 96% of the time.
Right.
Michigan is successful just 84% of the time. So there's got to be something to that. I mean, there's got to be a correlation. What do you think that is?
I mean, for USC, I mean, we just have a high-powered offense. We have a great ground game. Nobody's really stopped our offense all year. We haven't been in a situation where we were in a drive and we felt we couldn't do it because of what the defense was doing. We just been very successful for whether it's opening drive, on every aspect of offense. To be honest with you. In regards to Michigan, why is it so important to put them in third down? Because that's more than likely going to be a passing down, especially if you're stopping them in the run game and backing them up. Again, we want to be able to get that pass rush that's leading the nation, or that led the nation at one point in sacks. We want to get that thing going, and get after this kid and force him to throw arid balls to receivers who are dropping balls. So that benefits USC.
Here's the second thing, that if USC does this, it is going to lead to a guaranteed victory. And again, this sounds very cliche, but they have to jump on Michigan early, score on your opening possession. And this is a perfect time to remind everybody that USC has scored on its opening drive just twice this year. It happened against, game one against Missouri State, and they actually scored against Illinois. It was a field goal, and that was a result because, Waymon Jordan had that fumble, USC recovered, and kind of, it set the offense back on that drive. So, Marvin, how important is it in the big picture that USC score a touchdown on their first drive of this game? And if you're the team captain, right, if USC wins the coin toss, are you taking the ball or are you deferring?
Well, I'll tell you what. If I'm USC, I'm taking the ball just because of what you said. Our offense has been what it is, and this isn't about to prove anything. This is about winning the game. That's what we want to do. And if we want to win the game, we're better off with our offense on the field. This is how I look at it. And when you look at how we've been able to score on opening drives, you look at the fact that Michigan's defense, they've given up some yards and some points in the first half. They've tightened up in the second half. So the reality is, what they haven't done well is being great on D in the first half is what we have done well, is coming out strong on offense. So with 2 weeks to prepare, and having already played against Wink Martindale on that defense, I absolutely expect wrinkles in our offense that absolutely just show and highlight the different caliber of athletes that we have at wide receiver. I'm still looking for them to establish that run game, but I'm looking for Lincoln Riley in this extra week that he had to have some extra on offense, and I'm expecting for us to come out sharp because as I've said before on your show, this is the biggest home game of his USC career, and this is big for us. So, we need to come out there and strike fast and be consistent like we've been throughout the season.
Right. So, first thing, obviously, you want to win this game, stop the run, make them throw the ball. We've covered that. Second thing, we just talked about, and now the third thing, this is more of it's not so much what USC, we don't want them to do what they've been doing, and that's, we want them to play aggressive. We want them to play physical, but we want them to play disciplined football. In other words, we do not want them to have dumb penalties on defense. So you're extending the opposition's, time on offense. So no dumb penalties. Just own the line of scrimmage. No more offsides on third down. No more hands to the face. No more pass interference penalties. So that's a given. Marvin, what else guarantees a victory against Michigan? Those are my three things. If USC does those three things well, 99.9%, I guarantee a victory. What else?
Well, I'll tell you what, if they get their communication down, one of the things that they had mentioned in post-game interviews was they had some issue with communication. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Kamari Ramsey didn't play in that last game. Now that he's back, now that he's healthy, now that he's going to be back there, I expect less issue with communication. I expect players to be lined up, know what they're doing as the offense shifts and moves, and we don't have blown coverages that end up to being big plays and big scores. With the right communication, we have good athletes out there, and we need to see that in their play. So that's an area where I expect them to play better, so we can be better on that back end. And and again, we're fortunate because Michigan, they don't have a dynamic pass game. They have a young receiver, Marsh, a freshman receiver who can play. Watched the game last week, and the kid looked good. He's a playmaker. He's exciting. Outside of that, I don't see anything that really concerns us. But with that said, I'm not really impressed with anybody's passing game that we played against, and we still got beaten in the pass. So, we have to tighten that up. I'm expecting Kamari to make a big difference back there, which he has. He's a great player, and like you said, along with those penalties, we get that cleaned up. Which in a week of practice, extra practice, we should be able to. I mean, I have expectations as to how they're going to play, and the communication needs to be solid.
Oh, without a doubt, that Kamari Ramsey will make a huge difference. Eric Gentry kind of talked about it a little bit after practice today.
Mm-hmm.
He's mentioning how he's really excited to play this game. He was asked about, getting Kamari Ramsey back. Does that make a difference? And, obviously it does. But last year, Eric had a pretty good game against Michigan. He's pretty excited about it. He didn't want to really get into what happened against Illinois. He didn't say it, but he kind of alluded to it that, not just Kamari, but there was a few guys who were affected by what was ever going around in the food. He didn't say it outright, but he said he's really excited to play this week. The team understands. Antonlynn, the whole defense, I guess, has been living with this, bad taste in their mouth. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder this week, or at least that's the attitude you're bringing, which is great. Absolutely, get it done. Which segues me to our next segment. We know that USC in the first 4 games, the defensive line looked fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Against Illinois, they looked like last year's defensive line. They got pushed around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So in the next segment, we know right now that USC's secondary is a little iffy. They've been a little loose back there, I guess is a nice way of putting it. I want to ask you how the defensive line can help cover that up. That's coming up next. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today and you'll see parts on your doorstep tomorrow with over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items to choose from the most trusted brands in the business you can choose from. I mean, that's a lot. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keeps you from punting your projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. And if you need parts fast for a project, SupplyHouse has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Plus, their Trademaster perks, like priority shipping. You got the dedicated support that makes the whole process just a whole lot smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit SupplyHouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code 5. Excuse me. That's 5 H colleges for 5% off your first order. That's SupplyHouse.com. Real people, real service. My eyes are failing me there. All right, the NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers, if you can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. If you're going to love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. You like to do the parlay, you like doing the prop bets. FanDuel, you can do all of that there. You just want to jump into the action live. FanDuel lets you do it your way. So you're ready to play. Download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Okay, Marvin. So in the A block, I brought up how the defense has to stop the run, make Bryce Underwood beat USC through the air. That's not Michigan's strength. They're getting better. You brought up Andrew Marsh. They got a 6'5" wide receiver, last name McCulley, that he'll make a back catch. Keep an eye on him. But for the most part, we know they like to lean into the run game.
Yep.
So it would literally suck if they had a great game against USC's struggling secondary. Right now, USC's they're young, they're talented on the outside, but they're not playing to their potential.
Right.
even if, Chasen Johnson was available this year, who is he came over from Central Florida, second-year player. Prophet Brown, no one knows if they were healthy, how much they would actually help. What you're missing is guys who have game experience.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Harvey came over out of the transfer portal. He was supposed to be the veteran. That hasn't really worked out so far. And now people are bringing up, well, what about the true freshmen? You got RJ Sermons, you got Alex Graham. They're true freshmen. Mm-hmm. They're going to get some time. They're going to get their run, but people shouldn't depend on a true freshman. So here's my question for you, MVP3. How much easier is it for the defensive line and the defense in general to get after the quarterback if you know they have to throw the ball? We know that USC is going to focus on stopping the run.
Right.
So how much easier does that make it?
It's tremendously easier. The big thing for us is we have to be able to get a rush with our four guys. That's what we really need. And if you look at the first four games when we were getting all those sacks, the thing about it is, granted we were playing lesser opponents, and we jumped on people fast, and we forced them to be in passing situations. And again, we knew they were going to pass, and we exploited that, right? That's what we need to be able to do against Michigan. We didn't see that against Illinois. Against Illinois, our four-man pass rush got stood up and pushed back. It was non-existent. You didn't see it at all. And that kid was back there making plays as if he's a Heisman contender, and he's not. Good player, but we made him look good just with our inability to beat a one-on-one block. So, in this Michigan game, it is imperative that, Keyshawn and Jarrett and Jade, these guys get pushed in the middle, and that Lucas and Shelby and Crawford on the outside, are able to come around and put pressure on this kid. The four-man rush is everything for us. If we can get that done, then it's going to protect our DBs. It'll force quick throws. It'll force air throws. It'll force him to try to escape the pocket. And you better believe Danton's going to have a spy on this kid. You better have a spy on this kid because he's explosive. He's big, strong, fast, and he can move. So I'm expecting run blitz. I'm expecting us to commit to stopping the run on first and second down, and I'm expecting us to be able to get some push on a Michigan O-line that is good, not what it was last year or during the national championship year. Good O-line, but again, they've had some things to work out as well. So for us, we have to hide the DB play with the rush. The rush must come back. Danton, again, just like Lincoln on offense, I'm expecting that he has a few wrinkles, a few things that he hasn't shown. Again, we need our all-star defensive coaching staff, Rob Ryan, Belk, Haney. I'm expecting these guys and their veteran experience, to really know how to work this bye week. I have expectations, and it starts off with those defensive linemen being able to be stout in the run, and then on pass downs, be tough in the middle, push the middle, and get them on the edges.
I mean, you mentioned Jade and Devin Tompkins, and you got the two big dudes, John Jarrett, Keyshawn Silver. You mentioned the edges, Anthony Lucas and Cam Crawford, Braylon Shelby. Let me ask you this: what's the best way to get to the quarterback? I know you're talking about getting the four guys up front to do it. Is it the best to get after the quarterback from the edge, or do you want to force the quarterback to run away by pushing up the middle?
Yeah. So, listen, I grew up in New York, New York, LA, but I grew up in the day of Lawrence Taylor. No, I'm just being honest. That was the man when I was growing up. So
your dad guys like Lawrence Taylor. So
absolutely. Yeah. And blocking them successfully. Let's make that point as well. But for me, I'd have to say that an edge, because when you look at, who's accumulating the most sacks, who's getting pressures on quarterbacks at any level, it's the edge guy. And we have edge guys. We have a couple of them, and I'm excited to see them. Again, they've showed up for the first four games. They have ability. We know we have some guys. SC has done their part NIL wise to bring these guys in and keep these guys here. And I think, it's, we need to see these guys show up. Again, this is the biggest home game in LR's career. And what we do on defense is gonna really set the tone for that, because we have expectations. We have fair and very positive expectations of our offense. But let's be honest, are we going to stop the run? Are we going to get after the quarterback? That's what everybody wants to see.
No, you're right. Look, after what happened, and I think again, a lot of this, the reason this narrative is set up the way it is right now, is because the way USC played on defense 2 weeks ago against Illinois, that especially up front, they got pushed around.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming. Now you got Michigan coming in on the heels of that.
Mm-hmm.
And last year against Michigan, they ran for 290 yards. They threw the ball just 13 times.
Right.
This, like you said, USC has to shake that narrative that they can't play physical football, that they're always going to get pushed around. They can't handle themselves when they need to. I mean, Michigan, it took a pick six last year to help beat USC.
Right.
And again, USC's defensive line this year is better than the one they had last year.
Right.
You got more guys. It's deeper, more talent. It's just the
bigger,
way
bigger. It's bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So USC has to hit that reset button and say, you know what? This isn't Michigan's offensive line from last year we're going up against.
Right.
USC's better defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So has a good O-line. It's just not as good as what I think everybody has been used to these last few years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, this is like you said, this is a huge show me game. USC has to set the tone. They have to own the trenches. They cannot get pushed around.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I don't know when it happens. And you don't want to put all the blame on Lincoln Riley, but the buck stops at the head coach. At a certain point, you got to turn the page and say, you know what? We can play that way. We can handle our business when we need to.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is the game to do it. I mean, look, going into this season, people who knew, predicted that, at this point we might be 5-0, we might be 4-1. But there was a big question about, what kind of team is this with our second-year quarterback and, him with the Lincoln Riley as the quarterback whisperer. We had the number one running back out of JUCO, and what's he going to look like, and all the things we did up front on defense. There was a lot of positive buzz, a lot of, what we could be doing. This week, we're going to find out, are we going to be, a 10-2, 11-1 team? Or are we going to be something different? This is a big game, and this is Michigan. We're bringing in an elite program, someone who's been relevant, for the last 5 years, been to the playoffs, won a championship. Their guys are getting drafted; they're getting top classes as well. This is a game that, for us, in many ways, it's like a must-win because we have to see what has Lincoln Riley done in 4 years. This is his senior year. This is his fourth year. We know things start off a little bit slow at NIL. But we got all that together. We have to see something, and I'm really looking forward to seeing, what these 2 weeks have done to our team. I'm excited about it. I'm optimistic for good reason, I believe.
Me too. I agree, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to show how optimistic we are with our predictions in the next segment. But this isn't all on Coach Riley. This is also on Coach Lynn. He's got to show that, last year you helped improve the defense. This year, it feels like it's kind of taking a little bit of a step back, despite, you brought up NIL's there. You got better players. There's got to be where's the disconnect? Why is the defense not showing up the way everybody, and I hate using the word expected, but the way everybody anticipated, seeing that next step from, growing from what you did last year.
Yeah. And again, they've made some plays. We brought in a big time safety out of NC State. He's made plays for us. We brought in this 17-year-old freshman D line. We've already seen him make some plays. Gentry's back from injury, getting coached up. He's having a great year. So the frustrating thing is we know we have athletes, but we've seen a lot of dumb penalties, a lot of mistakes, things that shouldn't be happening. And that's what frustrates the fans the most, I think.
You nailed it. Perfect way to end the segment. All right, we're coming back with our predictions. That's coming up next. Mazda crafts cars for those who want to do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, and that's because Mazda has more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else, and that's as of August 2025. So that's pretty recent. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. And here's another great feature and benefit. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. One of the tools that helps make a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly known as Open Phone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money, and that's money you're leaving on the table or leaving off the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or on your computer, so no more carrying around 2 phones or relying on a landline. Whether you're a solo operator juggling everything or part of a larger team, Quo makes it easy to stay responsive and professional. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Get started free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's QUO.com/lockedoncollege. And if you've got existing numbers with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right. So I mentioned this in the second segment. Last year, Michigan ran for 290 yards and only threw it 13 times. They won at home. Again, took a pick 6 to help them out a little bit. USC at the end of the game, they just ran out of gas. They didn't have the depth that they have this year. So right now, again, here's some stats that kind of feed off of. USC ranks in the top 10 of the ESPN Football Power Index right now. They're number 10. USC ranks number 2 in the nation and number 1 in the Big Ten in total offense, 565 yards per game. The Trojans are number 3 in the nation and lead the Big Ten in scoring offense at 48 points per game, and they throw it for 338 yards per game. And last week, we know USC was missing Elijah Page as well as Kamari Ramsey. So how is this one going to play out, Marvin? We know USC has a prolific offense. The concerns on defense. Let me ask you this before you give me a final score. How many yards will USC throw for? Will it be for 300 or more or less than 300?
300 or more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will USC's run defense, will they keep Michigan at $150 or less?
Probably not.
Okay. Who's going to have more receptions? Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane, or the tight ends combined?
I hope it's Mekhi Lemon.
Okay. I'd like to see, and not just to disagree with you, I want to see Jacoby Lane have a monster game.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he's having a huge game, Mekhi Lemon is going to be doing Mekhi Lemon type of things anyways, and that's a good sign for USC.
Good point.
I'm just saying on the We Are SC Inside the Trojan Huddle show, I actually think the tight ends are going to be, as a group, will be the leading receivers. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a wrong answer.
Yeah.
Will Bryce Underwood throw for 250 plus yards against USC secondary?
No.
Will USC's defensive line get back to looking normal? I'm not saying they're going to get 4 or 5 sacks, but will they be affecting the quarterback, getting at least 2 sacks, getting at least 7 to 10 pressures?
Because I believe in Danton, because I believe on our staff. I do. I believe on our all-star staff, and they recognize what this moment is. Yeah, I do. I expect our guys to get after it. Absolutely. Put that pressure on that quarterback.
If they're doing that, are they going to be able to, and when I say contain Justice Haynes, that means keep him under 100 yards?
No, I don't expect that. I don't need that to happen for us to have to win. Okay. This kid is special. He's special, and I think he's going to do what special people do. Okay.
I hope USC can.
What we can't have is the long run. What we can't have, that's what we can't have. He's averaging like almost 8 yards a carry. All right. If we can get this kid to 2.5, 3.5, he can't beat us on 20 carries. You know what I'm saying? They have to give him 35 carries. I mean, that's what it is. We can't lose to 20 carries, and this kid, is averaging 7.5 yards a carry. We can't have that.
If he needs to carry the ball 35 times to get a $150 or $160, more power to you, young man. I think I saw a stat where Waymo leads the nation in yards after contact.
Something like that. He's up there. Yeah, his numbers are. Yeah.
If that's who's going to have more rushing yards, Waymo or Justice Hayes? And let me explain why. Mm-hmm. Justice, I believe, averages 130 per game. Waymo's 107 per game. They're not separated by that much.
Yeah, I would say Justice just because I think he's going to be a bigger part of their offense. Whereas at USC, we have so many real weapons. We got 2 number 1 receivers, the tight end room, and our backs. Again, we have 3 Doak Walker award watch list players. So we have more guys to spread it around who can really hurt Michigan.
Will USC secondary get an interception?
I'm focused on are they going to get a couple sacks? Forget the interception. Will they get an interception? I'm not betting on that.
Okay.
I'm not betting on that. Yeah.
So I've kind of set up, asked you all these different types of prop bets, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Give me a final score. How do you see it playing out based on all that?
I really see it 2 different ways. I'll give you just one. And what it came down to is I had to really just respect what they said out in Vegas about this game. That's kind of what it came down to. I see USC winning a tight one, 35-34.
Yeah, I see this being going one of 2 ways, and I think I said it on a previous episode this week. I see either a tight score, or I actually see USC blowing them out.
Me too. So, I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say that just because of the Illinois game, but I see it the exact same way, Mark.
So I believe I predict USC 31, Michigan 27 on Inside the Trojan Huddle this week. If USC gets out early, if they get a 10, 14-point lead early, and all of a sudden now Michigan's got to get out of their comfort zone, they can't focus on running the ball. This is where Bryce Underwood, again, 18 years old, uber talented, has the world in front of him. He's going to be a really good quarterback. Mm-hmm. But on the road, sold-out Coliseum, it's a different environment, especially when that Coliseum starts to get dark. The lights come on. Fourth quarter, you see the torch lit up there. It can be a little intimidating. So, again, if USC's on top and Michigan now has to start, chasing and rely on their offense more than their defense, I can see where, Lincoln Riley's like, hey, you know what? Let's pour it on. Let's get this monkey off our back.
Right. And for as much as we've heard about Michigan's physical defense, and it is, and it's a good defense, and they rotate a lot of guys, our O-line is good too. We've ran the ball well. What Jaden is, again, on a few people's lists for that trophy at the end of the year because he's been able to stand up right and throw the ball. So let's not forget about our boys. I mean, they've played well. We have a situation at center, which is, I think, big, having Killian out. But I'm looking to see Denare, pick it up in the Michigan game. He acknowledged he was a little bit nervous going in that game. Everything wasn't – he didn't have all the calls down, but he feels more comfortable, and I'm expecting to see a guy with 25 starts going there and look stout against a Michigan D. So, I think if you see us, because we're going to run the ball, Waymon's going to have yards, we're going to run the ball. If you see Jaden, you see that pocket clean early in the game, then I think that other scenario we discussed about how this game ends happens. If he's upright and able to throw that ball to those receivers, Michigan's defensive backs aren't that good. They're getting their safety back. They're getting a guy back from injury who was a team captain, but we're one of the best offenses in the country, regardless of who we play.
No, Sharon Moore brought it up. He said USC's offense, they're explosive. And he brought up all the different ways that they can hurt you, the way Lincoln Riley can dial things up and strike you through the pass with the RPO. USC can run the ball. So USC has an explosive offense. Michigan has shown they have an explosive runner. So whoever obviously has the more explosive plays is going to win this game. I brought up USC just has to play physical. They have to be aggressive. They have to be disciplined. That's, I think, the biggest key, because if the defense does not have to stay on the field longer than usual, longer than normal, because they're not hurting themselves, again, at home, I think this is a huge difference. USC has the offense against this year's Michigan defense, which is good, but it's not last year's Michigan defense. It just isn't. And I think even the most true diehard, Michigan fan will tell you the same thing. This is not the same team that played USC last year.
Right. Listen, one thing that we should feel good about, or a couple of things, is, we have the ability. Our team is built for a shootout if it got like that. Now it won't, because they're not going to throw the ball like that. But if we didn't do well against the run, and this kid has some, and he broke a few runs, then if we end up in a situation where we have to score, we can do that. So we should feel good about that. And this for us is everything. This game is there. It really is. It's a big game for us, man. The O-line, I'm looking to do well, and I'm excited about our guys.
Me too. All right, that's it for this episode of Locked On USC. MVP3 Marvin Powell III. Thanks again for doing this, man. Fans love it when you're on here. We'll have you on again. I got one more show coming up this week. It'll have my Friday rant, and then also I'll have the instant reaction show after Michigan. You're going to know if I'm in a good mood or a bad mood, because we've been talking about it, Marvin. We said this is the game. They cannot look like they looked at any point last year. They have to prove that last week that loss against Illinois was a one-off. Lynn said he doesn't understand why their defensive line looked as bad as they did. He just said, I don't get it. I don't know, but we're looking forward to playing this game. So we'll be back. Marvin and I will wrap up the USC-Michigan game as well. So until that next episode, everyone, you know what to do.
Fight on.